So the Donald Trump clown show continues. In today's episode, we are not talking to Canada. So seriously, let's sum up today's video. This is the headlines. Trump says he has halted trade talks with Canada. Say what? Trump terminates trade talks with Canada. Yeah, okay. And if you're curious, this is the tweet. We have just been informed that Canada, a very difficult country to trade with, including the fact they have charged our farmers as much as 400% tariffs for years on dairy products, has just announced that they are putting a digital service tax on our American technology companies, which is a direct and blatant attack on our country. It's according to Trump. They are obviously copying the European Union, which has done the same thing and is currently under discussion with us also. Based on this egregious tax, we are hereby terminating all discussions on trade with Canada effective immediately. Okay. We will let Canada know the tariffs that they will be paying to do business with the United States of America within the next 7-day period. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Say what? Okay, so let me try to put this in context. This is just breaking now. It is such a bizarre thing in this global trade war saga where Trump is basically attacking every country in the world all at the same time, attacking our friends. And I got to make this clear, guys. I'm an American citizen. Do not think every American is like Trump. Do not think every American hates Canada. In fact, Canada is awesome, and I'm happy to have you as a neighbor. But yeah, just ceasing all conversation. In context, though, I just made a video. You can see the last one. It's about how EU is moving ahead of the USA. And basically, it came out that, as you guys know, Trump went to NATO recently. And during the sort of this whole sort of fiasco, people in the EU started talking of like, hey, we need to set up our own trading bloc, go with the countries in the EU, countries in Asia, right? Let's get Canada involved, obviously UK, this kind of stuff. And maybe USA won't be invited to this sort of trade bloc and USA won't be the leader anymore. And that's basically what we're talking about, a world without the USA in front because they're untrustworthy with Trump at the helm. This is just what we were talking about just yesterday. And it's interesting because, again, putting context, Trump and his people keep saying that everyone's knocking on their door for a trade deal and they all want to talk to you, etc. And it's going to be so easy, 90 deals, 90 days, or, in 2 weeks we'll solve this whole thing. And we've been covering this story extensively. To cease trade talks with Canada is pretty, I don't know if you want to be, we'll be nice about, we'll just say juvenile, the nicest thing I could say, because trade talks it takes a long time to do this stuff. There are many industries involved. There are many companies involved. It'll go many rounds because someone will make, hey, we want to get this. The other side will say, we want to get this. And that's just one point of it. And then because there's so much to cover, it just takes a long time. This kind of stuff that Trump is saying, basically this digital service tax thing, this has been on it's been on the radar both in the EU, as Trump mentioned, and in Canada. From what I can gather, we're talking about a 3% tax. So this would be probably affecting like your Googles and your Facebooks and other kind of things like that. And the Trump people, they always like to make the case that USA is in a trade deficits with many countries, but oftentimes the Trump people don't include digital services, which is a major part of the U.S. economy. Like say, for example, like a Netflix. So yes, it's true. This, for example, yes, it's true. Maybe USA imports a whole bunch of bananas, and we talked about the banana stuff before on the channel. But just because we import a bunch of bananas and maybe other country doesn't buy as much of our pistachios, for example, just for example, it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It just means we're trading with another country and we like their bananas. And in the same regard of like, say, USA will export Google services, Facebook, Microsoft services, right? Apple, whatever. And maybe we don't, buy the same amount of, say, Apple stuff from them. Just for example, it's not necessarily a bad relationship with Canada. It's just, that's the nature of the relationship, right? And the thing with the problem with this whole argument with Trump always trying to make it is like, from the Trump people's point of view, is that, everyone's against USA and everyone's cheating USA, and I'm here to, correct all of the bad things that Biden did. That's essentially what Trump is trying to make up. But Trump essentially misleads people on these things all the time. That's the point I'm trying to make here. And the worst thing about this stuff is when you just, say, hey, fine, we're not talking anymore, no more negotiations. We're just going to, basically what they're going to do is just send a letter and say, this is what it's going to be. That's what they've been threatening to do up to the trade deadline, which I believe is July 9th. They've been saying, okay, if we don't hear any countries don't have any particular deals, we're just going to send you a letter, and we're going to put all these countries in baskets and treat countries roughly the same. That was according to Lutnick. We talked about it. I know, because when I say this stuff and repeat the stuff that they say, like, I sound stupid because I'm repeating what they're saying. But I mean, that's how ridiculous this stuff all is. Just to halt trade talks with like a major trading partner is insane. And this actually reminds me of the similar situation, say, with Iran. This is all a theme with the Trump people, right? If we don't get everything that we want right away, we're just going to stop talking to you. It's like trying to deal with again, it's a juvenile, in a serious relationship, these kind of things, you work out your differences and you come to a win-win agreements. And I think, the problem with Trump is he wants it to be I win, you lose. And, just to give you a concept of like who these Trump people are, I talked about this before, just the last video, just please watch. Recently they've been talking about over the White House, Twitter account, making t-shirts saying daddy's home with, images of Trump on it. Like, who's going to buy these things? But that's sort of who the Trump people are. It's like effectively a cult. They tweet out these weird things with Diet Coke. And I don't even understand this one. I played it before in the last video. Honestly, I don't understand what this stuff is. I'm not stupid. I just don't understand because it doesn't make any sense. I mean, and then when you talk to Trump, like, this is just another statement. It says, I'll read it to you guys. President Trump declines to say what will happen to tariffs after July 9th. And then even in the most recent press conference, Karen Levitt was saying that the July 9th date's not that important, is what, according to her. I mean, their story always changes this stuff. So what's a quote here? It says, we can do whatever we want. We can extend it and we can make it shorter. That's according to the deadline. Okay, so how, like, these people's word is so flimsy, right? So, okay, deadline July 9th, and then he's saying, okay, we can extend it, we can make it shorter. Okay, so how can you do business with someone like that who gives you a date, but then they're just saying that we could change the date whenever we want? How do you do business with people like that? And that's why you frankly can't. And that's why the EU is like, hey, we're going to just set up this whole new trading block, forget the USA. And I don't blame the EU for thinking that way. I don't blame Asia for doing the same kind of things, be it Southeast Asia or otherwise, right? And Canada is now, it looks like they were trying to negotiate in good faith, but then Trump's the one who's cutting off the relationship, is what it sounds like to me. Because we'll go continue. It says, he said he would like this Trump. He said he would like to send letters to trading partners saying, quote, congratulations, you're paying 25% in tariffs. But Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, the president said, is, quote, a lot nicer than me. What is this? And the stupid crap about you're paying the 25%, like, this is where the Trump people on Fox News are always misleading. Let's make it really clear. The importer is going to pay the tax, effectively. You, the consumer, are going to pay the tax, right? Effectively. This idea that Trump people always say is like, oh, when we put a tariff on Canada, Canada's going to pay. No, they're not. That's why, like this stuff is, the Trump people, they base their logic and their arguments on lies, effectively. And then you can see they literally, in their own words, like, oh, we can do whatever we want with the dates. We can shorten it and extend it. It's like, how you can't do business with these people. It's really, really crazy. And then you have this. I just kind of want to show you guys some of the other things that they've been talking about with Canada. It's another article. Trump set on tariff demands as Canada negotiates its head toward deadline. Canada Association, Canadian ambassador says. And then this is a bit more details of sort of different things they've been negotiating. So the digital servicing has been on the table for a while, but there are other stuff. It says the ambassador declined to provide specific details of Canada's demands. In the short term, Canada is trying to get the U.S. to back down from 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports and levies on autos that have been hurting Canada's local industry. Canada also wants the U.S. to eliminate tariffs on some goods that have been hit by duties that the U.S. imposed on Canada for letting fentanyl come into the USA. Bigger area of concern include digital service tax that Canada is imposing on U.S. tech companies and a dairy quota system. So quota, interesting, will be dealt with during renegotiations of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, which will begin next year. And part of also is when they do these negotiations, right? Yes, you want to include Mexico. One of the sticking points also for USA that's not mentioned enough, but I need to mention it, is when we talk about, quote, made in USA, the way US law is now is oftentimes they're counting other things made in North America, be it Mexico and Canada, meaning that you can mislead people on the made in USA label. That's what I'm trying to say here. And, Trump keeps saying he's going to bring all manufacturing back to Canada, but I think that's going to be tough. And for Canada, say, to do the digital service tax, I think that's pretty tough for them to just suddenly cut it when, if it's made it through the, Canadian Parliament and that's what Canada, wants to do, so be it. But, this idea that, Trump's just going to cut off trade entirely, or not, I say trade talks entirely, is ridiculous. It's not trade entirely, it's just trade talks. And then apparently maybe we're slapping a 25% tariff across the board. I think it's probably going to be a pretty crazy move. So we'll see what happens here. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Again, this is just breaking now, so that's why I'm just like, what the heck? I didn't expect necessarily this thing with Canada, but unexpected, I guess, with the Trump people. I do appreciate your time, everyone, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.